Good morning, everyone. We have breaking news out of Lehigh Acres that we've been following all morning long. That's where a hostage situation inside of a gated community has finally ended, but peacefully.
Ended just about an hour ago in the Majestic Golf Club community, and that's where neighbors had to be evacuated in the middle of the night, and they heard a lot of gunshots. So it is an active scene right now. Let's get to Jessica Alpern, who is live with the latest information. Jessica, what can you tell us?
Yeah, and Chris, let's talk about those neighbors because there's just a huge feeling of relief this morning at this hour. I've been speaking with several of them who have just recently been allowed back into the neighborhood. They're allowed into certain parts of the neighborhood at this time. And this is after, like you heard earlier, they heard deputies pounding at their door, telling them that they had to evacuate. This was because of gunshots. Again, this person, there was a warrant early this morning that went bad. Essentially, he resisted. He ended up firing at deputies who had to fire back, and that's when SWAT was called in, and everybody who lives in this neighborhood had to be evacuated. Now, during that process, some of those neighbors actually tell me that deputies threw them to the ground to protect them because there were bullets flying left and right. They wanted to make sure that everybody was kept safe, and it has been a job well done because that suspect is in custody. I want to get you out live, though, because by no means does that mean that this scene is dwindling down. We still have the mobile command center with LCSO out here. The entrance to this guard gate is still blocked off by crime scene tape on one side. I actually want to get you out to some video from very early this morning. Our breaking news tracker was on scene in the early morning hours, and that's when we saw SWAT rolling into this neighborhood. We saw a huge presence, way larger presence of deputies, and Lehigh Acres fire trucks were on scene earlier this morning around 1:45. It has some of the fire trucks have since left the scene, but deputies are still on site. And I want to let you hear from the sheriff. Again, they had a massive response of deputies. He's commending them for getting the situation under control.
I couldn't be more proud of the men and women of the Lee County Sheriff's Office and all their effort tonight. It was all hands on deck from the air to SWAT, negotiations, patrol, and detectives. All hands on deck, and we're thankful it's been peacefully resolved.
And again, the sheriff telling me about 1 o'clock this morning, that's when this warrant took place. But that is when that suspect ended up resisting. He fired at deputies, and that is what called so many deputies out here to the scene. That's what created such a massive response. That's why the SWAT team was here. But again, at this time, we do know that nobody was hurt and that suspect is in custody.
It's an incredible story, Jessica. I have a couple quick questions for you about those poor neighbors who were woken up in the middle of the night, either by the gunshots or the sound of the deputies banging on their door. Any idea how many people we're talking about that were evacuated?
Not sure from deputies on the official number just yet, Chris, but we saw at least 10 gathered around the entrance of this community early this morning when I first arrived, and they were shooken up. I mean, it was exactly like you described, deputies pounding on their door, and while they were actually walking past the golf course to evacuate, that's when they were told to get on the ground because there were bullets flying throughout the community. So for their safety, pushed onto the ground, and you can just imagine what a terrifying feeling that is. And on the other side of this, we've actually seen kids with backpacks on getting ready to go out to school this morning. So imagine that's what they're waking up to in their morning as they head out for school.
Imagine any of it. Just one more quick question, Jessica. The people that still are not allowed to go back home, do you have any sense on when they may be able to go back home?
So I did speak with the sheriff about that just about a half hour ago, and we saw some cars going in and out. So he told me select portions of this neighborhood are allowed to go back into their homes at this time because they do not feel that there is any more threat to the community now that they have that suspect in custody. Not the entire neighborhood is about to come back in just yet. We'll have more details on that. We're working with the sheriff to gather that information, and as soon as we have that update, we'll let you know.
Excellent reporting from Lehigh Acres. Jessica Alpern, thank you very much. You heard